Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Welcome to my stream and another chapter. I believe it's chapter 5. Chapter 5, working on this guy here. That's our 98 Pontiac Ram Air. We'll run the intro. Yeah. We'll get into it. Okay guys, we're gonna start working on this again. So off camera I did a little bit of spray painting. Got our interior done. I got our seats and our dashboard done. So our interior's got some color to it now. It's not all just gray. Let me just change the camera. I'll show you what I did. So last time we were working on our front suspension and getting our A-arms and everything, getting our suspension lowered, and we got that all done, so that's done. So after that I painted it flat black. Okay, so that's ready for installation. And then while I had the black in there, I figured I'd switch over to the interior, and I got the interior painted. So this is actually, to me, is XF69 NATO black. Okay, it's not just regular black. And then what I did is I masked off the seats and the door panels and the center console, and I gave them a little shot of, to me, a semi-gloss clear. And so we get that nice kind of leather seat look going on there. We got some leather in there now. And we did the same thing with our regular seats, okay, or front seats. Got the same treatment. Nice leather seats up front. And then we've got our dashboard done. Okay, and then in the center, I'm not finished with the dash, but I did put some regular black in the center there for your stereo and your heater controls and the air vents. We still have to do our instrumentation, which I'm about to do right now. It is a decal, so I've got water here. It's going to be interesting to see because this decal sheet has seen water already. As you can tell, it's kind of stained. But we're going for number H here. We're going to see how this guy actually comes off and see how he works. If it works. Because I don't know if it's going to work with this kit having, you know, basically, for lack of a better term, it's got water damage. I don't know how good or bad this is going to turn out. So I do want to cut around the decal because it's got a little bit of the carrier film around it there. So I want to trim it around there. And just get right there. Get all the way around because I want the decal to fit in perfect. It might fit fine even without my extra trimming, but it doesn't hurt to just make sure. So I'll just trim this out around here, like so. Cut that, and cut that. I didn't cut all the way through the paper. I don't need to. It's just going to cut that carrier film. So I'll put that in the water and let that soak for a minute or 20, and we'll see how that comes out. Now, of course, I'm going to be using my Mark Fit Super Strong to really get that decal to shrink down into that. I have a feeling this decals may be super old, and because they experienced some water damage, it is possible that the stickiness, the stuff that normally makes decals stick down, may have been, washed away, worn away. I do have some decal adhesive, some Tamiya decal adhesive. A couple of years ago I bought a little jar of it, and I think I've used it once in like 3 years. I don't even know where I put it. It's been so long. I'm sure I have it around here somewhere. I just don't feel like hunting for it right now. So we're gonna just hope right now that this will work. We'll see how this is coming out here. It looks like it's already starting to lift. No, It's just my imagination. She's not ready to go yet. This water is a little warmer than lukewarm, so it should work faster than, you know, cold water would. What else did I do while we were working on this? On our brake booster and master cylinder, I scraped away the black paint off of our little brake fluid reservoir, so that's white like it's supposed to be. So that's that. I did that. The other thing I did is I primered the body. I put a coat of primer on this because I wanted to see how my T-roofs look all one color. And then I realized I had a little bit of putty I needed to add in on our corners here, but that's it. So I'm not done with the body. I still got stuff to do. I'm going to drill out the holes for these fender vents. These are currently solid. They're supposed to be holes. So I need to drill those out and do that little custom job there. Make those actual holes like they're supposed to be. Let's check our decal again. Our decal doesn't seem to want to be moving yet, which is unusual. Usually when I've got warm water in there, the decal works pretty quick. I think what I want to do today, I want to get a coat of white paint laid down on our undercarriage so that I can start some assembly on this thing. So I think that's what we're going to do today. Once this decal is on. Once the decal is down, we can work on, I'll get some white paint going. What am I going to use for white on this guy? Well, this car's going to be basic white, right? So we're just going to use Mr. Hobby's Mr. Base White 1000. This will be a perfect white, plain, simple white coat. Mix that up a little bit, set that down, and yeah, I think that'll be good. I'm not going to bother doing the body with it yet because, like I said, I want to carve out our little vents here. And you have options on what you could do. If you have the Dremel, you could just Dremel the back side here until it's thin enough that these holes become exposed. That is an option. And that could be the best way to do it if you want to reduce any chance of getting any scratches or anything on the outside here. That is always an option. And that just might be what I do. Our decal's still not moving. I have a feeling that when the water got on these decals, that the decals actually stuck to the paper. And so all the decals on this are stuck, except for these two that are lifting off here, obviously. That's what it looks like, because this decal should start moving now, and it's not. I'm going to give it another couple minutes. Okay, fire up my air compressor here. There we go, and we'll get my airbrush ready for a little painting here. I'm not going to bother changing the camera because it's not going to take that long to paint this, and it is just the undercarriage, so I'm not going to bother with my painting cam today. It is unfortunate that this doesn't want to move at all. See this? I got it soaking in the water here. Now I'll put it within your field of view, and this doesn't want to move at all. It's really, although I think I can start to peel, maybe. It's really, there we go, it's starting to peel up now. It's really took a long time though. There's a bit of the carrier film. The last thing I want to do is tear it. So being very gentle on this as I try and lift it off the paper. It's surprisingly stuck to the paper very well. You know, normally decals slide. There we go. Decals normally slide off the paper. Not in this case. It was really stuck to it. Okay, so let's grab our dashboard. And let's put this guy in there. Of course, now he's in there. He doesn't want to move. There we go. Okay, Q-tip. Let's get a Q-tip in there. Soak up some of this moisture a little bit. See if he'll stick down in there. He's lined up on the top, but he's not really lined up anywhere else. There we go. Okay, so he's in the spot it's supposed to be. So now what I'm going to do is take my Mark Fit Super Strong. And just put a whole bunch in there like that. And we're just going to leave that to dry all on its own, just like that. We're going to leave that for hours, okay? Literally hours. We're going to let that just do its work. You guys have seen me use this stuff before, the Mark Fit Super Strong. What this does is it causes the decal to shrink onto itself, and that's how it'll shrink into panel lines. It'll shrink down over detail and stuff like that, and make it look basically like if you're doing it on the outside of the car, it's going to make it look like it's paint and not just a decal sitting on there. And that's the whole purpose behind it. A couple of other things I want to do, because I primed the front and rear bumpers on this thing, and I primed it in here too. And I'm going to hit these with the white also. I got to get in there. This will be a perfect opportunity to paint these. And I also got the mirrors here. The mirrors, I think I'm going to install them on the body. No, I won't. The mirrors are, I believe, the mirrors are supposed to be black. I know on the kit they are painted body color. I'm just going to double check here real quick. Are the mirrors black or white? The mirrors are white. So the mirrors are body color. It's just this trim around the mirror is not body color. So that means I need to get these off the sprue if I'm going to paint them. So let's do that. Okay. Let's just do that. Get these off of the sprue. And clean up this really ugly trim. It's not really ugly, it's actually not bad. Okay, so there's that. But this one is really, I want to just test fit this on here. It's basically, they're going to go in like this. But this one's got some like extra flashing on it that is going to be a little hard to install it if I leave that alone on there. It's really kind of weird. It's almost like they made it too thick. So I need to shave that down. This is not going to be seen really because this is part of the black molding, but at the same time it's going to make the mirror stick out from the body in a really weird way. Okay, let's see how that looks now. It doesn't help, I got a little goober right here that needs to be shaved off. Okay, so this will go right here in that spot. Or will it? It's really not. Yeah, it goes just right like that. Or on the floor. Okay. So, holy crap, it really just wants to go on the floor. Okay, so as I was about to show you, there's a little notch right here, and that lines it up right there. If it cooperates and actually goes in there, but it does, and it does. But I see it's got, our mirror has a little dimple at the top there. I guess this side does too. This side needs a little different kind of cleanup. This one's got a little bit of flashing right around here and here. And it's got that same weird extra lip and some flashing. Not the most precise molding there, Revell. Like, come on. You could have done better. Okay. It fits good. It fits all right. No problem. It's not going to be an issue. But with it being like this, how do I paint it? How do I paint it indeed? We do have chrome mirror parts that are going to actually go on these. And this one I got to clean up this nub. So, will my alligator clips hold on to it? Maybe if I go like that. Or maybe like this. I can hold it in such a way that it covers where the black molding will go and not cover where I'm going to paint it white. Then that's good. And I think I've got a spot like that, but I'm not happy with it. So what I'm going to do instead is masking tape. Get a little strip going. I'm going to lay it down here. Fold that over. Fold this over. I'm going to put the two mirrors down on this. I don't want them so close that when I spray paint one, I'm painting the other. So I'm going to space them out a little far apart, like this. And then I can get in there and I can spray, and then there you go. Okay, so there's my mirrors. So, let's just make sure. I'll change the camera here. So at least, I'm not going to set up the other camera because it's not, this is only going to be a few minutes. I'm just doing the undercarriage and the mirrors and inside stuff. So this won't take too long. It's not going to be like a whole, you know, half an hour of painting or anything crazy like that. One thing I do need to check is my paint seems to be a little bit thick. I'm going to have to make sure. I'll have to do a test spray. Just make sure this is going to spray okay. Spray okay. Let's see. It is a little bit thick, but it will spray. It's okay. It'll spray. Am I out of the way? Yes, I'm okay. Yes, it's in the way. How many times am I going to say with an A? Well, I am Canadian, so I'm going to say A a lot, right? Let's just move the table over here a little bit. Is this a little bit more on camera? A little bit. Okay, so I'm going to clean up my airbrush. We'll spend 5 or 10 minutes cleaning up my airbrush, and we'll come back. Okay, so the airbrush is clean, and so we can start doing other things. And the one thing I want to do is I want to start working on our little air vents on our fenders. So these air vents, well, basically they need to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try something I don't normally do, and I'm going to use my Dremel, and I'm going to use basically a sanding thing, and get inside here like this and start grinding away on the inside until we get holes. So let me grab my Dremel, move the table back where it was, and I'm going to get the Dremel. Okay, so don't need that harsh bit, although that would work. It would just make a little too short work of it. This, of course, is loud. It's not like my my other one. My other one might work. My little one here, this might work, but as you start to put pressure on the plastic, it might want to just stop, right? It's not very strong. It doesn't have the torque like an actual Dremel does, even though this is cordless. Change the camera here. We can see what we're working with. All right. I am going to change my glasses for this because I want to be able to see up close and see how little or how much I grind through here. Okay, that's what the goal is going to be, to just touch on here in that little section until I can almost start to see through it. Okay, this little section, I keep on putting it at an angle you can't see. It's this little section right in here, right in there. Okay, just basically right behind these things. So put it on its lowest setting and see how she does. Okay, I got that very close to being flush, and we're not quite through yet. How fragile is that? Still a lot of strength, which means I still have ways to go. Okay, I finally start to see light through the lower one. Sorry guys. Okay, so I realized I did 90% of that and at such an angle that you guys couldn't even see it. I'm about 99% of the way through on the bottom one there. So I've got just a hair, like a hairline. In fact, I could just poke this through now, and our bottom one is out. It's just held on by a hair. There we go. Our bottom one is through. So I've got a hole there in the bottom now. Just like that. And that's perfect. Like, it's absolutely perfect. So now I just got to work a little bit on the top one. The top one just needs a little more. It's a little difficult to get up in the top here because of this area, right? My bit, I've got to be really careful not to start biting into this part on our, sorry guys, biting into this part right here, okay, with the tool, right? Because the more I get in there, the closer I'm getting to that, and I don't want to hit that. So yeah. Okay, I think I'm just about 95, 96% of the way through on the top one. I think I can just push it out. The rest of the way. I'm not quite as far. All right, we've got it. Okay. So we've got our holes in the passenger side now. Those are done. So now we'll work on this side. Okay, so I went a lot heavier on that side, knowing that I can take the 100% of that little bulkhead away. So I made short work of our front one, but I need to take a little bit of a break because this thing does heat up the plastic quite easily, and I want to be careful. I don't want to melt the plastic. Okay, so I'm basically 99% of the way. It's just that extra little bit to take off. And again, I don't want to heat up the plastic because that's what this kind of has a tendency to do. Okay. Just a little bit of shaping here. We'll just get this done. Our top one is also just needs a little love here. There we go. And there's that side done. Now, the way these are shaped, I clearly have to do more on this side. Our top one needs to be significantly bigger. Fortunately, the plastic is so thin there, I can kind of shape it with my knife. There we go. That looks more like this side. Good. So those are done. Now the other thing I wanted to do is, you see how thick the plastic is along here? The camera will focus on that section. I want you to focus right in here. This thickness here. I want to take this, not this file, this file, and go in here like this on this kind of an angle and thin out our fenders. Real life fenders are not thick. You might have your body molding here at the bottom that's thick, but the fender itself is thin. So I don't want to take material away from our wheel well, right? But when you look at this, say at an angle kind of like this, I don't want you to see a big thick edge here. And also on the back, like look how thick this is. The thickness of the plastic in our wheel well, that is terrible. So, a couple of things. I could use this and I could just go in here like that, like that, but this is a little big. I could use this guy. This guy would really make short work of it. But because of the way they've designed this kit, it's hard to get in there with this guy, especially on this side. To get into the top of the fender there, that's hard to get at. The back won't be a problem. I'll show you what I mean. Let's just do this low speed. Speed up. Okay, so show you what I mean. This is now a very sharp edge in here. So now if you look at that, say if you're going to look at this model kit from this kind of an angle like this is going to look a lot more like a normal fender and not some great big thick piece of plastic like this side looks. You see that there? That's thick looking. You don't want it to look like that. You want it to look realistic, like it's sheet metal. And that's the way we're doing it, right? So a little bit of things like that. Little things that are fairly simple to do that just really add to making it look a little more realistic. Now, did you notice the angle I was doing that? I'm not going straight on, I'm going on an angle to take away only the inner part so that I want to preserve the outside edge. Now yes, because that particular bit really heats it up, it kind of melts the plastic a little bit and you get a little bit of goobers in there, but it looks a lot better and a lot more realistic. And I'm preserving the actual outside line of the fender well, of the wheel well. And that's the important part. And that, I want to say, is good enough. And that's looking a lot better, and we're a lot closer to being ready for some actual paint on the body. Before I do anything else with the body, I want to take a look at how the rear wing goes on. This is going to be just about the rear wing and where it goes. Where do we put on the, when do we put on the wing? Not on these pages. The wing goes on after the body's installed. There we go. Okay. So the rear wing, we're going to put our brake light on the wing, and then the wing goes down. Can we put the brake light in after the wing is on? That is the big question for the day. Because if I can put the light on the wing after it's installed, then I'm going to put the wing on, well, maybe even right now. What I want to check out is our panel line for this going back here and this going back here. This panel line is not very consistent. I mean, it's okay. It's not bad. Anyway, back to the wing. Where's my wing? Woohoo is right. We're almost done here. Almost done for the day, guys. I gotta be careful on how I trim this off. That's nice and interesting. That's it for that sprue. They were nice enough to put a great big fat nub in the middle of this wing for me to have to clean up. Isn't that thoughtful of them? Let's just grab my knife. It's the same kind of thing you have to do with windows when they go and have a windshield with a humongous nub like this. Just slowly carve away at it. Because it's the way it is. Get rid of those unsightly nubs. And there we go. There we go. Stupid little ejector pin mark in the center of it underneath there. Hopefully it's not going to be able to be visible. So we got two great big pegs that go into the bottom of this thing, and they don't go all the way through because we've got garbage on the inside of the holes. Pegs still don't want to go all the way through. Drill bit time. Not that one. Maybe my Tamiya. Nope, not that one. How about a big one? Big one's too big. I need something in between. In between. Well, that's going to be my knife. There we go. Okay. Now it goes down all the way. Well, one side does anyway. Come on. One side goes through, and then the other side doesn't. There we go. Okay. So, if I convince that to glue itself down, it looks like I could put the light on there, but we have a peg for the light. I'm going to grab the light out of the box here. This is our center brake light. Okay. And of course, it's got some flashing on it, of course. It's 1990 Revell tooling. Actually, I think technically they did come out with this in 89, not 90. So that peg is supposed to line up on that. So if this is on here, can I put that on there? Let's pretend this is all painted and everything's done, and I'm finally putting in the last pieces. And I go, oops, and it fell off. I think I can do it. Assuming it's all painted. And now I've got glue on it. Let's pretend I got glue on it. And now I'm getting glue in spots I don't want. Let's try it this way. If the wing would stop moving on me. That's basically it. Now, I will be able to put the light in there. The question is, this peg is actually too long for it to fit. So I'm going to trim this peg down, because even just the way it is, like this, I go and try and put this on here, it won't go down all the way. So I'm going to trim the peg a little bit. The peg's just sitting up a little too high. Let's try that. Hey, we're about 1/2 millimeter too tall now. Just a little bit. And now we sit flush. Yes, that's much better. Okay, so that's also going to make it a lot easier when this is installed. If that's already on there, I can slide that on there much easier into a spot, just like that. And there, now it goes perfect, just like that. So that means wing is going to get glued on right now. Maybe not. I gotta double check the rear window. I have to think ahead here, guys. can I put my rear window in with the wing on? Because the rear window is going to tuck in like this and then go down. And guess what the problem we have here is? So, can I do the window from inside and poke it up through? No. This is a problem. And this is why I didn't glue the wing yet. If I slide it up in there, well, that would have just knocked the wing off. I have to pretend the wing is on there. Hold on a second. Okay, the wing is pretending to be glued. Now, can I do this? Yeah, it's very easy to drop it on the floor. Of course I can do that. See, I need to get it at that angle where it's going to tuck under the wing but pop up. Just a sec. Okay. Let's get that tape out of the way here. Stop dropping it. The moment it pops through, I can't get it under the wing. Well, that worked. But we're not. Yeah. Although I was able to do it, it's one of those things, you know. I'm just gonna have to paint the wings separate. I'm just gonna have to do it separate. The wing's gonna be painted separate from the body, and that's just the way it is. And maybe that's a better thing. After all, if the wing is on the car, how do I paint across the hatch underneath of it? You know, if the wing's on the car, how do I paint underneath there? How do I get paint underneath there like I'm supposed to? Right? Right. So, I just wasted 20 minutes for nothing. But, whatever. It is what it is. Okay, so, it's about that time again, guys. Time where I've got to get going. I got to take off here. Yeah. I'm happy with what we did get done today, even though it doesn't seem like a lot. Yeah, I think, you know, my gauges are still, that my Mark Fit stuff is still drying, so I'm just going to leave that overnight, and we'll worry about that another time. The other thing I wanted to do, but I didn't get a chance to do, was get some metal color on our exhaust. I didn't get to do that. but that's okay. I still have a little bit of detail painting to do on our interior, and the seat belts. The seat belts are going to be a challenge for me because I've never done seat belts before. It's something like I'm talking shoulder belts here. I've done lap belts before. Lap belts are easy, but shoulder belts, I've never done shoulder belts before, and I actually don't see a lot of guys doing them. And the challenge with them, of course, is you have to anchor. You know, you've got to anchor one side inside the bucket of the body, and the top of it goes to the actual. Is that the B pillar or the C pillar? I think it's a C pillar. On the car, you've got to have your anchor point on the top of that in there. And well, how do you have your belt in there when this doesn't go in? And if you've got this in already, how do you get in there? And blah 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 blah. I'm sure that's a challenge, and I'm sure that's why a lot of guys don't do seat belts like that. But that is my challenge for myself, and that's what I'm going to try doing with this kit. This is where we're going to leave it for today. I've got other things to do. I've got to get going, and I've run out of time for today. So I want to thank you guys for watching. Thank you for joining me on this little journey. Even if this isn't your favorite subject, I do appreciate you guys watching and hitting the like button, and subscribe if you haven't, and leave a comment too if you feel like. I am happy with the direction this is going. It is coming along pretty good. Nothing too much of a challenge that's like beyond my level so far, even though I am doing some things for the first time ever. It's turning out to be a lot easier than I thought it would be. And if I can do it, that means you can do it too, because you guys are a lot better at this than I am. So thanks again for watching. Thank you for the support, and we'll see you all in the next one.